Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. We've got a seriously massive breaking news story to unpack today, and honestly, it is sending absolute shockwaves through the political landscape. We've got some exclusive, fresh polling data that reveals an unprecedented shift. Seriously, it's a real game changer. One Nation leader, Pauline Hanson, has actually surged right to the front of the pack, completely shattering decades of major party dominance in Australia. So today we're going to look strictly at the numbers, the strategies they're using, and the immediate fallout from this, frankly, historic moment. Let's dive right in. Political reporters on the ground are literally calling this a seismic U-turn. And to really grasp the shock factor here, we have to look at the contrast. We're talking about a figure who, not that long ago, routinely topped the charts as one of the country's absolute most unpopular politicians. Yet somehow, according to this brand new data, she's pulled off a complete reversal in public sentiment. She's now emerged as the nation's preferred prime minister. It's the kind of massive momentum shift that literally changes the entire calculus of Australian politics overnight.
All right, Section 1, breaking down the polls and looking at the actual numbers behind this shock.
Now, the defining feature of this data is just how definitive it is. For the very first time in history, and this is according to the Resolve Political Monitor polling conducted for the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age, Pauline Hanson is the absolute, undisputed first choice for the top job. This isn't some margin of error tie, right, or a close second place. No, this is a clear, definitive first place in the preferred prime minister metric.
And when we dig a little deeper into the primary votes, we see this completely new three-way dynamic that's just totally reshaping the field. Look at this. One Nation is actively inching ahead of Labour right into that number one spot, leaving Labour trailing just behind. And meanwhile, the coalition is sitting way back in a distant third, recording their lowest ever result. It's a historically dismal position for the established Conservative Party. It basically rewrites the traditional two-party playbook we're also used to analyzing.
Okay, moving to Section 2, the prime time strategy and how they're capitalizing on this momentum. So, One Nation definitely isn't just sitting back and admiring these poll numbers, they are actively weaponizing them. We're looking at a massive media blitz, and it's funded entirely by this huge surge in party donations. They're buying up primetime ad slots during the massive State of Origin Rugby League broadcast, which, as you know, has huge viewership. And they're rolling out these aggressive Fire the Liar commercials. And get this, in a pretty surprising twist for a modern campaign, they're quite literally taking to the skies. They're using skywriting right above Australia's biggest cities like Sydney and Melbourne. It's an incredibly aggressive, multi-pronged attack designed for absolute maximum visibility. And make no mistake, the target of this massive campaign is crystal clear. It's Anthony Albanese. Those commercials, they're a direct, highly targeted attack on the current leader. And the polling context here is absolutely crucial. Hanson has now officially surpassed Albanese as the preferred prime minister, so they're taking their fight directly to the very top, using this newfound statistical high ground to challenge his leadership head-on. It's a highly calculated move to present themselves as the true opposition. And why does that matter? Because it completely forces voters to rethink who is actually holding the government accountable on the national stage. Right, on to Section 3, the collapse of the coalition and the establishment in serious strife. So the panic setting in over there is frankly palpable. Internal sources are raising a really stark alarm, stating very simply they want to take over the coalition. This isn't just about One Nation wanting a seat at the big kids table or trying to casually disrupt the established parties. The serious concern coming from the inside is that One Nation is actively aiming to fully replace the coalition as the primary conservative force in the entire country. And as you'd expect, this intense pressure is causing some massive internal fracturing within the coalition right now. You've got one faction that remains completely focused on the political mechanics, forming preference deals and building coalitions just to stay relevant. But then you've got another faction issuing these really urgent warnings that all this talk is just premature and frankly totally irrelevant. They're arguing that the actual immediate job is to win back the massive amount of votes they've hemorrhaged. So it's a party deeply, deeply divided on exactly how to survive this plunge in the polls. To really get a handle on this ongoing collapse of the establishment, we just need to track the exit of coalition frontbencher John Owen. Earlier this year, the party's leadership change acted as a major tipping point for him. It was basically the moment where the internal friction just became way too much. And fast forward to the present day, he's officially quitting politics for family reasons. As political reporters have noted, the Liberal Party is losing one of its best and brightest. His departure isn't just a loss, it's a highly visible symptom of the deep internal crisis sparked by these dismal poll numbers. Now, all of these events are culminating in what's being called a massive double hit for Angus Taylor. It's basically playing out like a devastating 1-2 punch. Internally, he's losing a highly trusted ally and a really vital pair of hands in John O'Nam. But externally, he's basically being usurped as the effective opposition leader in Australian politics by Pauline Hanson. So Taylor is just caught right in the middle of this internal party exodus while simultaneously losing his authoritative status to a surging disruptor. All of which brings us to the ultimate question we really have to ask after reviewing all this wild data. Is this the end of major party dominance? Think about it. We've seen a literal seismic U-turn in the polls, an incredibly aggressive primetime strategy bankrolled by a massive surge in donations, and an established party practically collapsing under the pressure. The landscape has undeniably shifted today. Whether this becomes the permanent new reality for Australian politics and how it might reshape the policies, the legislation, and frankly, the economic stability that affects your everyday life, well, that's something we're going to be watching very, very closely. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning the data, and I'll see you next time.